Hello, welcome to episode 15 of the Blindsided podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about acceptance, how it could be the key to what? Well, we're going to talk a bit about what it's like to struggle with, not accept, to fight, and then how to admit, get to the other side, and live a life based on reality in a way. So, my name is Charlie Collins. I am a coach, a best-selling author. I am a speaker, and I am just a dude who's happy to be with you today, too.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for that intro, Charlie. My name is Brenda. I am founder of TimeForAttend.com. We are a emotional awareness coaching service, and we teach people how to challenge their conditioned thinking so they can find things like acceptance in their life and have a more well-being and more freedom. So excited to be here. I've missed a couple of weeks, Charlie.
Well deserved for you. But one of those weeks, you were here, we were here, but maybe we weren't. It's amazing what you can do with technology today.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So I'm going to just share a little bit about what it's like to fight reality in my life. So at age 9, I was diagnosed with an eye disease. By age 13, I received a certificate of blindness from the state of Connecticut that certified me as legally blind. And, as a young kid, I don't want that. I didn't want it. I didn't accept it. I didn't even think about accepting it. All I thought about was it wasn't fair. It was poor me. I was a victim to it, which led me out on a course of destruction in a way where I battled most things in life. I battled school. I battled some relationships. I hid. I didn't want you to know I had an eye disease because an eye disease makes me less than. It makes me not as good as other people. I couldn't do things as fast as well. And I couldn't perform in school that well. I couldn't perform in gym class or sports. Now, was that true? When you don't accept, you believe the lie that this is who I am. My being, my state of mind was, I'm not enough. I have something that puts me in a different category. Now, I don't know about acceptance. No one ever sat down and kind of rolled it out and kind of helped me see it more clearly. Not at all. And that brought me through years up until my lower 20s when I started to wake up to what could be possible if I took a look at this. But again, Brenda, I didn't know that there was another way. I thought the way I thought about it, the accountability of my actions, like I could not accept that it happened. It was happening to me. I couldn't accept some of the consequences of my actions because for me, it was justified. I'm not going to do well in school. I'm not going to do well at a lot of things because who could with an eye disease?
Right, Charlie. And when I think of acceptance or not accepting, what comes to mind for me, the first thing that comes to mind is my black and white thinking. The second thing that comes to mind is not getting what I want. So, the black and white thinking is, well, this has happened and I'm not going to get it, right? So the black and white thinking and not getting what I want. And because I can't accept it, I'm fighting both of those things. So I'm exerting my self-will. And as a result of that, I'm limiting my possibilities. I'm limiting my choices. So I'm actually putting myself in a box when I'm not accepting things as they are.
Oh, that box. So, I got an opportunity at 23-ish, and it was a job opportunity. But then I had jobs, but, landscaping, and there's nothing wrong. But I knew deep inside that I could do more, but I could be more. I could live more. But I just kept falling back on not me. And excuse me, I got an opportunity, and I was at the jumping off point. This where we got to make a. I had to admit it, like the problem. Is it? I remember asking myself, is it possible that my whole life is going to be dictated by a little disease on the very back of my eye? That little disease, which is on the very back part of the retina, right? Now, this is a tiny part of the eye. Now, what does that control? You know, cameras when they're out of focus and you press the button and it goes zip and it comes in crystal clear. That's the part of my eye that doesn't work. And as I get older, that center part kind of gets darker and darker. I still can see peripheral, but which is not clear vision to begin with. So I remember asking myself, is it possible that this little disease in the back of my fovea is going to control my entire life? And now, of course, I gave it the power. I talked to it. It spoke back to me like, yeah, you can't do that. No, it's not possible. You should not go to college. And if you do, you know you're going to fail. And why bother trying? And everything is, that language was there for years. It was my, as you love to say, it was my conditioned mind. It was the conditioned way. It was my go-to default way of thinking. So I finally admitted, and I got honest with myself a little bit. And it scared me. Like, I'm at the jumping off point. You got to either jump into this fear and feel it and do it anyway, which was make a decision and start to learn what is acceptance? How do I accept this? What do I do? And I didn't have a book. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have anything to say, step one, we're coaches. We help people through this all the time. But I didn't. So, and I believe we all have a power within us that is here to guide us and bring us along. And I tapped into it by accident. And, I made a phone call. I asked for help. I did some things I never did in my life. And it started to lessen its grip on me, the little disease in my eye, and the real true me, the higher self started to slowly start coming.
Right. Charlie, you say all the time, what we focus on gets bigger, right? Where our focus goes, our energy flows, something like that. You say it all the time. And that's the case with acceptance. If I'm focusing on something that I'm not getting, something that I want that I'm not getting, or some circumstance that I'm in that I don't like, that I don't want it to be this way, or whatever the situation might be. If I'm focusing on the problem, I'm not living in the solution. Not only am I not living in the solution, but I'm not open to any kind of broader thinking about what other possibilities there might be, right? So I'm just sitting there in the problem. And when I'm sitting there in the problem, there's no action going on to go in a different direction, maybe even a better direction. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've missed out on opportunities because I didn't get the one I wanted. The one I wanted was the only one on the table for me. And when I didn't get it, I would focus on why I didn't get it, how maybe I could change that circumstance, what should I have done differently. I would get into all of that analysis and just pondering things that didn't matter, instead of focusing on, okay, so I didn't get it, what's next? What could I do instead? What other opportunities exist? And not only that, but I never considered that maybe I wasn't supposed to get that opportunity or be in that position or have that relationship or win that first prize. Maybe the circumstance coming next would be the better circumstance for me. That never even entered into my awareness because I wasn't willing to accept the circumstance as it was. Have you experienced that?
No, I can't relate at all.
Right?
Yes. And I like that black and white thinking you talk about. And I like and it's where our attention goes, our energy flows. Same thing as focus. So anyway, yes, because I know what's best for me. Do I? And because what's best for me is in tunnel vision. I'm not looking out here. I'm not in a space of, well, I'm resilient. So as I have a failure or I get a no, I would shut down, because it took a lot of courage just to get to the ask or the take the action that I maybe failed on, and then I would crumble because I wasn't resilient. The courage just slipped out, and it was like this was the one thing that I had to have or get in order to feel better about me, not to make the impact, the change, or help others. It was more based on me looking good, sounding good, feeling good, and making more money and moving to the next level in life. I didn't know that I was selfishly trying to advance myself.
Right. Right. And I think the biggest mistake that I made was thinking that I knew best. I want to tell a story. I was studying A Course in Miracles. I've been a Course in Miracles student for, I want to say, about 7 years now. And Marianne Williamson said something so profound. She said, acorns don't have to try and be oak trees, and embryos don't have to try and be babies, and buds don't have to try and be flowers. And she says, there's a natural intelligence for all of that to happen. And there's also a natural intelligence for our lives, for us to become the greatest version of us that we could be, if we allow it to happen. And it blew my mind to get that piece of information. And I wondered, what would happen if I didn't make all of these plans for where I thought I needed to be, or who I thought I needed to be, or what I thought I needed to be. And I'll never forget, a couple of summers ago, I said, I'm not going to make any plans all summer long. I am just going to let the universe unfold this summer for me. And I kid you not, Charlie, without getting into the details of all the wonderful things that happened, it was the best summer I had ever had, just by letting go of control and not orchestrating the who, what, where, when, why, and how of my life and the circumstances in it, which is what I usually do. The who, what, where, when, why, and how every day. And it was great. And so I try and practice some of that. I'm not always very good at it, but I try and practice some of
that. My dog, Jerry, who's a golden retriever, never wakes up and tries to fix his hair a certain way. He never acts like a cat. He does nothing but is in his true self in every moment. Does he have some funny quirks? And, he's a scaredy cat sometimes. And yes, but he is him. He's 100%. Wow, that was a new word. He's 100% herself. I like it. He's 100% himself. His being. He is a dog. He dogs all day. And he's truly fully connected to the power. I know it, because I see it, and he can come and he offers it. He's unconditionally loves us. It's like he is such a teacher for me on a daily basis. It blows my mind. And he's the best person. He's not a person. He's the best thing in my house that I can talk to, because he agrees, he understands. And Brenda, you made me think of a bumblebee. A bumblebee gets up and bumbles and bees all day.
I love that.
It never tries to be a cardinal or a hornet. It's just a bumblebee. Yeah. And it's like, wow, why is it difficult for us? Why do we fight? Why do we disagree with reality? I disagree with the line in the store. Like, it shouldn't be this way. Why? Because I have this conditioned rushing mind all the time. And it isn't true. I don't need to be anywhere. I just need to be from A to B faster. Because once I get to B, I got to go to C faster. And not faster, just in a rhythm that I'm not wasting time. Or I think sometimes in the universe, people should think like me. And like, how could you be okay with taking your time right now? Don't you have anywhere else to be? And then, that's gotten much better. Now, that was a struggle. I was about grumpy everywhere I went, because I focused on outside of me. I didn't accept. And because I wasn't willing to accept the consequences of that behavior, that mind created tension in my body, resentment, anger. It created, like, I don't know, the looks you give, the daggers, things like that. And it's like, gosh, what is wrong with me? And it's like, because we do this work, because I woke up to, is it true that this line, this process I'm in, this system I'm working through has to be different? And if I want to improve it, make something better, well, step back and look at that. But otherwise, enjoy the journey. Stop trying to control it.
You nailed it, Charlie. That's exactly it. For me, when I realized that I was looking at myself as the center of the universe, so everyone else in their actions was happening to me. They weren't just being themselves, they were doing it to me. Or I was a victim of something, or things weren't going my way, things were just going. You see the point? So with acceptance, and this is great. I have a good example of this too. With acceptance, you can step back and just say, it is what it is. It's got nothing to do with me. And I let go of my attachment to whatever it is that's going on. I remember, and maybe people can identify with this, there was one individual at work that I was struggling with. They were snarky all the time, cranky, attention seeking, you name it. They had all these things. They were doing things that I used to do, and I would see in them what I didn't like in myself. It was number one, that was going on. But number two, it would cause me angst to have to deal with this person. And as I practiced acceptance and I started realizing, you know what, they're just being them. They are just being them. It's got nothing to do with me. I could start letting go of that attachment and shrug my shoulders and just say, they're just being them, and let it just roll on by. They don't have to change a thing about themselves. I have to change how I'm taking in that information and responding to it, which is my conditioned thinking. And now it doesn't even cross my mind that they're irritating, or, their demeanor doesn't have any effect on me today. It just doesn't. And that's the freedom that I get to have when I accept people, places, and things for how they are, where they are, as they are, instead of how I want them to be. And really, when I think about it, if I really peel that onion, how I want them to be is I want them to be like me. And can you imagine how boring this world would be? Not to say that I'm boring, but if everybody else was behaving the way I was, the world would suck. Everybody is exactly, God designs, or the universe, or the creator of all that is, whatever made all this, designs each and every one of us perfectly, exactly as we're supposed to be. And we're all supposed to come with our quirks and our character defects and our little idiosyncrasies. We're supposed to be this way because that's where the balance of the universe comes, right? There's a balance. If we had just all good people or all just funny people, it would be a terrible, boring place to be. But we all come with our unique gifts and our unique character defects, and it's a beautiful thing. I never knew that before I did this work.
I know. There's no manuals. They don't teach us that in school, but that's okay. And I love the name of your new book. How I Want Them to Be is Just Like Me. That's a great title. People will be like, they could all relate.
No one will read it though, Charlie.
Well, most people buy books and don't read them anyway, so that's okay. As long as you sell them. So I'm going back to, I had to admit again. It's like this admittance, and I had to concede to my innermost self. Like, this, is it true? And how do we stay on top of this? How do we start accepting that, I fought everything. I'm gaining some weight, and then I don't accept that. And I don't take responsibility that no one tied me down and shoved it down. I chose to do it over time, and I got off track, and I was doing it nightly, every night, and I'm putting on weight, and now I'm angry, and now I'm not willing to accept that. But then finally, it's like I need to take the only way to break free for me, and I believe it's true for this acceptance mindset, is I accept I have 12 extra pounds on me. It isn't who I am. It's something I need to work on. I'm not a loser because of it. I'm resilient. I have courage. I'm going to face this. So, what can I do about it? Then I can start looking at a plan. But if I wake up every day and do the lie, I'm not doing it today, but I have no plan, no accountability. I haven't accepted where I am. I'm just getting up and I'm lying to myself saying, that's it, no more, starting today. And then at night, I did a lot of right things today. I kind of deserve this. Maybe I'll do 45 minutes of Netflix and then I go, darn it, I did it again. I don't want to be in that vicious cycle. So I need to say, I accept. I am who I am. I've done what I've done. I have this extra whatever I need to work on. And then the system, the ideas, what can I do? Oh, I could, do this, and I could ask for help. I could post it. I could ask Brenda to hold me accountable. And then it becomes a much easier path.
Yes, it does. You said something really important there, Charlie. You talked about one of our favorite things to talk about, which is accountability buddies. It's always easier to make these changes when we let somebody else help us, when we work together on it. You could even, I just did a video on this. I haven't posted it yet, but I did a video on this on, putting calendar reminders in. You could put a calendar reminder in with an acceptance prompt for you. Am I accepting things today? Or if you have something you're working on, like trying to lose weight, am I practicing acceptance? And if at night you're struggling with that, you can put a reminder in your calendar to call your accountability buddy, to do a check-in with somebody, your wife, your family, not your dog, because they won't talk back, but an accountability buddy of some kind. And because habits take time to form. It takes like 28 or 30 days to create a habit. So you have to give yourself that room to be able to change your thinking and change your behavior. And it takes time to do that. And it just goes a lot easier with an accountability buddy. But there's that prayer in that book that we love that says, acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no peace until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be in this moment. And I love that. Exactly the way it's supposed to be in this moment. So everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. The change has to come from within you. You are the one that needs to change, not the circumstance, person, place, or thing. An accountability buddy will really help with that. So I want to take a second and say good morning to the people on chat, because we haven't said hello to anybody. Good morning to everybody who's here. Glad you're here. Nice to see you. And feel free to ask questions throughout the program, and we'll try and answer them. I always forget to do that, Charlie, to check the chat.
Well, no, you don't, because you just did it.
I accept
At times, it slips your mind, but I accept you for who you are.
Thank you, Charlie. I do too.
I accept the fact that I spelt accept wrong on the thumbnail. Hey, I'm blind. What do you want? Anyway, what are some signs that you maybe want to work on acceptance? You think once in a while, he should, she should, they should. That's a good sign that acceptance needs some work. Or I should. This isn't fair. I'm a victim. Life sucks. These are all good signs that I'm not accepting something. I don't like the things on TV. I don't like the way the computer. My environment. Ooh, that's another one. Dang it, this box shouldn't be here, and this garage, and there was one time, Brenda, I went around. No, I've actually done it a few times. And I go to every room in my house and I write out what I don't accept in it. And am I willing to just accept it? Or do I want to fix that stain on the carpet? Or do I want to put that, fix that curtain. Do so I go around and I'm more of somebody that likes the doorknobs and things to work. And I WD-40 hinges if it makes a creak, and it's like, and then our environments are very important for our level of acceptance to self and to our being throughout the day.
Sure is. You said some important things about how to recognize when you're not accepting something. For me, when I say things like always and never, when I say things like I wish, I want, and again, the word should, when I'm using the word should, I'm definitely not functioning in reality. We joke about don't shit all over yourself, because that's how what's the word I'm looking for? Damaging and distracting and unrealistic the word should is, because nothing should be any certain way. It just is. It just is.
Well, when we're shooting, we're also taking the role of a power greater than other people that already have that power, and we're starting to dictate. We're becoming dictators. Sometimes we don't say it, but we think it, or we do accidentally offer our opinion. And what's an opinion? Everyone's got one, so I won't say it. But I hear you there. And here's something that, as I advanced and as I worked on this stuff, and it was scary at first, thinking about, oh my gosh, how would I live as a legally blind person in a world that is not created for me? But who is the world created for? It's created for all of us. We're all children of the creator, of that divine source. So it's like, is it possible I can find a lane where I can be at my best? Yes. Okay, maybe I should meditate on that or pray about it or seek out people that like the path they're on and talk to them, and then notice that ideas start flowing. One of my affirmations for many years was, I am an idea generating machine. and it's like, and then I said, I got to stop saying that. They're coming too quick. So let me just switch down to, we're both off the screen, and if you can't see this on the screen, there's a sign that says the Serenity Prayer, and then God grant me the serenity, not you, to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, I'll leave that there in case anyone wants a screenshot or just wants to read it for a minute. And then, of course, I'm going back to Brenda and Charlie. Down to this view. So, power, if it, God, universe, whatever, grant me the serenity. What is serenity? You notice how it doesn't say grant me the acceptance so I can be serene. It says grant me the serenity. This is a calmness, a peace, an untroubled mind, because without that, I'm not going to accept. Now, because all I need to do is be disrupted, right, Brenda? It's like in the store. I just give that example. Gosh, he should, the lights should, everything, the layout of the store. I mean, when I'm in that space, I've redesigned and trashed the whole place. And it's like, I don't want to be that guy. So I all of a sudden drop into a space of reality. Is it true that if this place, this environment, these people were acting the way my mind think they should, I would be happier? No. If I can't be happy with what's going on around me, I got some work to do, because it's not them that's creating my suffering. It's my thought about it should be different. And I asked that for that serenity. You called it the calendar. I used to have at like 9:30, 12:30, 3:30 on mine that said stop, reflect, think, then act. And that brought me into a place of calmness for a minute or
Right.
2 minutes.
Right.
And it brought me into a place of peace. And I had an untroubled mind because I stopped it for a minute. And I said, let's take an honest look at this.
Absolutely. What you're talking about is getting out of your head and into your heart. That's what serenity means for me. I talk a lot about living in this box, and this is not a good place to be living. Living here in my heart is a wonderful place to be living, and that's what the calendar reminders are for me. The thing that people don't realize, and I didn't realize for a long time, is that when I live in this box, it is completely based on my own life experiences, not the world as it is. The world is full of experiences outside of what I've experienced. But when I'm in this place, the only thing I could live through is this place. And it's not reality. I was sharing the other day about swiping through the first 10 thoughts I have on anything because it's based in this and it's not based in reality. And that's really just to say I take a pause, I challenge my conditioned thinking, and I get into my heart. And that's where the serenity lies for me, is when I'm in my heart and then I'm open. There's 41,000 neurons. I said it before on this podcast, 41,000 neurons in your heart. It puts out more of an electromagnetic field than your brain does. And when I'm living in that place, that's where Buddha lives, by the way. When I'm living in that place, the possibilities are infinite. Their acceptance is a less difficult problem for me to solve when I'm in that place, because I'm just much more open-minded to what the world has to offer instead of what this box has to offer.
Just wanted to sit in that nice, quiet space for a minute. And not a minute, felt like a minute to some people, I bet. That opening to that club, we're going to take a minute. It's like, what? A silence?
How about, that minute of silence, right? No.
Are you kidding me? Have you ever watched water boil? So that's funny.
Same kind of
and then I grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And, it took me a lot of resentment, a lot of self-pity. It took me a lot of anger, frustration to accept the the people, the situations, the events that I cannot change. Because I kept getting presented with the problem, which I thought was outside of me. But our troubles, we think of our own making. So I realized when I stopped, and it didn't happen overnight, and it certainly happened by me hiring coaches and people to help me through this process. I did not do it on my own, because I can't fix the mind. I can't fix a mind from a mind that created the problem.
Right.
I need some help, and I got it, and I still do. I don't have, like you said, I think today's a good day too. Yeah, you know what I mean. So we do need to maybe go, well, let me try another thought. Let me try another idea. Let me cast them away and just sit in a quiet space for a minute and see what presents itself. And I realized that, my God, I wasn't as tired. I didn't tire as easily anymore because I wasn't running the show, I guess. I wasn't designing the plan for other people or other businesses or other lawns. As I used to walk through the neighborhoods and all with the dog and stuff years ago, actually my other golden, because I used to judge everybody's property. And what the hardest thing for me now, it's not the easiest thing I don't understand why you don't pick up your grass clippings. But what was hard for me, Brenda, it wasn't so much how your property looked, because that's on you. It was, how are you okay with that? That's what was harder for me. So it wasn't the look, because I don't live in your house. I couldn't possibly. But it was, how is it okay with you? I couldn't imagine that. and that's somewhere I got to work on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I think about
I exhaust you.
Sorry, what?
I said, did I exhaust you?
No, I just, when it comes to acceptance, there's just so much here to talk about. If I think back on all the things that I fought and resisted and attempted to change, like, even past relationships, right? I would always try and change the person to behave the way I wanted them to behave. Or if they had a bad habit, I would want them to change that. And what I learned through a lot of pain and really just hitting my head against the wall is I don't have the power to change anybody else, number one. It is not my right. It's not my right to expect somebody else to change or want somebody else to change. Everybody, and this was a hard pill to swallow when I finally accepted it. Everybody gets to be exactly who they are. It is none of my business what they do or how they behave. Everyone gets to be exactly who they are. Does that make sense? And so the only option there is to accept them for who they are, or for what, not even who they are, because you can't define people by their behaviors, but accept them the way they are or move on. Right. And it's not even black or white. It's not accept them and leave them if they're not, if their behavior is intolerable. It's absolutely okay to leave, but either accept them and work with them or don't. And if the answer is don't, then you move on. Maybe it's not somebody you want in your life, but
That's
to
right.
just accept that person, place, or thing, and this goes for circumstances, bosses, coworkers, they get to be exactly who they are. They have every right to behave any way they want. It's not they don't have to behave the way that you want them to behave. And that has given me a lot of freedom these days, because I set healthy boundaries. And if the healthy boundaries aren't respected, then it's probably not a relationship I want in my life. And when it comes to coworkers and stuff, just accepting that this is the way that they work or they behave or they act, and it has nothing to do with me. And it becomes really tolerable because I'm just not in the middle of it.
And allows you to focus on your job.
Which is what I'm there to do.
I know. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. It is like, as we're moving through this, it's like it just stems out to so many, but
So,
it's the courage to change the things I can. And we know those things are within us. But I have the courage to change the things outside my home. I have the courage to change the way the fence looks, power wash it, and do things. So there's plenty outside of me that I can change. And it's within my environment, what I'm in charge of. I'm not in charge of walking over to my neighbor and asking him to trim his curb a little nicer. That's not the change, because his curb is his, and he gets to have his curb however he wants. Is it as tight as mine? Nope. But it's okay. He can accept that. And I want to learn more about that person. I'm curious. I want to understand you. I need to know, how is that possible? Because I've been a bit anal with me, because I have this perfectionism. I have this because I'm overcompensating for legal blindness. So I need you to think, when you go by my house, and this is in the past, it's not like that now, but I needed you to go by and say, this house, these people are okay. Because I wasn't okay. But
yeah.
when I became okay, then I don't care as much.
So, Charlie, someone in the chat, Kate just said, Charlie's yard is perfect. So, what I wanted to say is, when it comes to other people, my kids, friends, especially the people I loved, I used to want to save them from their pain by sharing my experience with whatever it was they were going through, so they didn't have to go through what I was going through. I work with a lot of people, and even in coaching, and it's what I know now is that pain, whatever it is they're experiencing, they need to experience. It's not for me to go in and rescue them from any kind of circumstance or situation or experience they're having, because they're supposed to have that experience. And really, it's about me not wanting to tolerate being uncomfortable watching them suffer. And sometimes the suffering and the pain is exactly what teaches them to live and think and challenge their conditioned thinking. So accepting that people all have their own journey is what I'm trying to say, that they all have their own journey, and I am not the arbitrator of anybody else's journey. I can accept that I need to just sit back and let them do whatever it is they're going to do to get to wherever it is they're going to go spiritually, emotionally, and so on in life.
Yeah, that wasn't easy. And I wasn't perfect at that. And I came in and said, "This is how you do it." And then I didn't do that at times because I was raised, my parents did not call me into the room and say, "You need to be different. You need to stop it." Now, yeah, I there were consequences for my actions and being a naughty kid, for sure. But my mother would say, "You can be more and do more. And I know someday you will wake up to that. But I love you anyway. I'm not here to tell you do it differently." They let me fail. They let me fall. They let me get hurt. And I'm sure it wasn't easy at all on them. And my dad would, I watched the pride he took in his lawn, and he would walk it at times and in the morning early. And I know he was gazing around, just looking and inspecting and making sure, and his gardens and things like that. And I'm out in my lawn. You know what I said to my parents once? I said, "I will never grow up and be like you. You are so mean to me." And then one day I woke up and I said, "Oh my God, I'm just like my parents."
Yeah. Yeah.
And my dad was a little strict, but in a loving, caring way. Like, he held you accountable. I don't like that. And anyway, I'm out on my lawn drinking coffee as my sprinklers. I'm watching them in the mist of water, and I'm enjoying. I'm grateful. I'm accepting. I'm at peace. And I'm like, I cannot believe I am just like my dad.
Yeah. We learn a lot of those behaviors right from our parents and our families of origin. It's where all that programming comes from.
Well, we could do a series on each. We have several divisions of where we could go with this, but we're coming to the end. It's been a wonderful session. Brenda, I think, next week we're on and episode 16. And we are not going to reveal the topic yet, but I will get it out sooner. I will be accountable for that, get it out sooner. And I will have Brenda proofread the thumbnail. Any last closing words of courage to accept the things? No, courage to change the things we can. I think we covered that. And the wisdom. Do I actually know? Do I have the power? Because Brenda, you and I don't like giving our power away to such little things in life, whether it's traffic, weather, lines in stores, other people's properties, other people's actions. Every time I go into that mind of trying to fix something outside of me, I'm actually giving away my power.
That's absolutely true. The wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom is the only person you can change is you. Acceptance is the answer to all your problems today.
That's right. And then you're a power of example. And that's what helps people, not our mouths. Our mouths, well, if you hire me and you want me to coach you, then you've accepted that you want help and you're willing to go through a process. But that's the only way. Just walking around fixing things is not my job.
Yeah. And acceptance comes before you can make a decision. You mentioned that, and I wasn't sure if that was clear to the audience. You can say you're going to do something all you want, but until you've practiced the acceptance piece, the decision won't stick.
And thank you all for attending today. We're live right now on X, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on 2 YouTube channels. And Brenda, you have us on your time for a 10 YouTube channel, right?
That's correct. At Time for a 10 is the channel name.
All right, good. All right, let's go down to, and don't forget, please like, subscribe, and share with all your connections. And we are grateful and appreciate you for watching and attending, and we will see you next Saturday.
Have a good one.